Hello, everyone. My name is Wilmar Igl. I'm a medical statistician and psychologist from Uppsala, Sweden. I've been politically active in the climate movement since 2018, and I would like to present to you the Dandelion Hub. The Dandelion Hub is a central repository for decentral civil political actions for eco-social justice based on R-Shiny. I would like to start with my personal story, which led me to engage in this software project. Under the influence of newly released research papers and also the climate protests by Greta Thunberg in front of the Swedish parliament in Stockholm, I have become more and more engaged in the climate activism since 2018. On the photo on the right, you see me, the blue guy, with my son, the little green man in the background, protesting in Stockholm in 2018. However, after the notorious COVID-19 pandemic kicked in beginning of 2020, street activism rapidly came to a halt and turned into online activism. I've looked for new ways to contribute, and therefore I got shortly engaged in the Action Mapper group for Fridays for Future. And this engagement also inspired me to develop an action mapper for all progressive movements to create synergy. So, from what I initially thought was a 3-day project in spring 2021, turned into an ongoing project in 2024. As a recent example of what this action mapper can be used for, I would like to show a map created with the Dandelion Hub, visualizing the geographic distribution of Gaza solidarity encampments at US universities in May 2024. As you can see, this action map visualizes and quantifies these protests, thereby also highlighting opportunities, for example, for joint protests in areas with high engagement, for example, in the Northeast. However, it also shows opportunities to initiate protests in areas with low engagement, for example, in the Midwest. Before going into the technical details of the Dandelion Hub Action Mapper, I would like to explain some of the context which influenced its creation so one can understand why I created it the way it is, using the climate crisis as an example. To begin with, one has to acknowledge that humanity has become a geological force since the start of industrialization around 1850. Whose activities is dramatically changing the climate, biodiversity, and for example, also has measurable effects on the Earth axis. As a consequence, psychological, social, and political processes by humans impact the biological and physical features of the Earth. Unfortunately, these processes drive the Earth system further and further towards uninhabitable conditions in many populated geographic regions. I've tried to illustrate these points by showing North America at night and the Keeling curve of carbon dioxide concentration since 1958. The curve is annotated with major climate action events, for example, the World Climate Conferences, which do seemingly not have any impact on the speed with which humanity is crossing dangerous atmospheric thresholds, indicating the inability, but maybe also the unwillingness of decision makers to commit to meaningful climate action. The reason for this political failure lies in the fact that bad decisions usually make good politics. According to selectorate theory, political systems, including democracies and dictatorships alike, follow the same basic rules to reward politicians with gaining and maintaining political power. Without going into detail here, I would like to highlight rule number 3, stating control the flow of revenue. Following this logic, an aspirational or incumbent leader has to reward his supporters to gain their support by transferring resources from non-supporters to supporters. In other words, no politician will win an election by promising to increase global and intergenerational climate justice by making his or her supporters poorer. One could adopt now a pessimistic position of that humans are basically no good, which, however, I think is not true. In his book Humankind, Dutch historian Rutger Bregman argues, based on multidisciplinary evidence, that most humans are fundamentally kind. Nonetheless, one has to also accept that humans are also morally weak in the sense that ordinary people can be made to do evil based on orders, convenient narratives, small rewards, and nudges such as promotions or simple social approval by peers. Hannah Arendt has coined the term the banality of evil for this observation. The dysfunctional pattern of political systems working against the common good and common people being easily be pushed into following such systems is further stabilized by narratives which are controlled by the political and business leaders, as argued by Noam Chomsky in his famous book Manufacturing Consent. Fortunately, following the pluralistic dependency theory by Gene Sharp, nonviolent political action can lead to societal change, resulting in a redistribution of power and wealth and achieve greater social justice. Sharp provided groundbreaking work by systematizing civil nonviolent political action into three categories and specifying in total 198 specific actions. These three categories are protest and persuasion, for example, giving public speeches, non-cooperation, for example, economic boycotts, and intervention, for example, by civil disobedience of illegitimate laws. While the motivation and justification for CNPA may be based on a mixture of motives, it is important to understand its principles. CNPA is a method aiming for societal change by creating conflict, but without or minimal violence. It uses social dynamics to generate mass power by people who do not have formal political power or the economic means to change a society. CNPA actions often create some sort of moral dilemma to motivate people to side with the cause of the activists. In general, it is more of a scientific, practical tool than a philosophical belief. With respect to civil, nonviolent political action, I would like to illustrate how social networks can help to generate civil power. To begin with, a person, here the orange circle, may perceive himself as isolated and surrounded by others with conflicting opinions. As social beings, the person will hold back with his opinion to avoid social conflict and to keep things smooth. Other people may do the same thing. However, after speaking up, the person may discover that there are many other people with the same opinion who, encouraged by him and his example, also speak up. The mutual recognition then allows organization and generation of a transformational force field. I think of it as many little magnets working together, who then can create a social tipping point after which a majority of other people, by the power of arguments, convenience, or simple a lack of care, may adopt the same opinion, thereby transforming society. As a segue to the next section on the technical details of the Dandelion Hub, I would like to illustrate here how the Dandelion Hub may channel civil power by providing a meeting point for progressive activists who can then join different action channels according to their interests. To illustrate the aspect of synergy or intersectionality of different progressive movements, one could say, although the activists here represented as colored circles favor different colors, they all agree on making the world brighter. So, what is the Dandelion Hub about? The Dandelion Hub aspires to be a central repository for decentral civil nonviolent political actions. The dandelion is the name of a flower, but also means tooth of a lion in French, which reflects the soft and hard elements of civil resistance. Its main purposes are to be a calendar for future actions, an archive for past actions, but also a hub for associated social networks. Its motto is seed action, harvest change. The Dandelion Hub consists of 5 components. Component 1, the website, is the graphical front end for the Dandelion Hub database to enter data and show and report action data. Component 2, the database, is the back-end database to store the data permanently and manage the data efficiently. Components 3, 4, and 5 are various types of federated social networks based on open source protocols, including the ActivityPub, XMPP, and IRC protocols. These social networks differ in their focus on influencer-based publication or topic-based peer-oriented communication and are thus suitable for different purposes. The Dandelion Hub uses the RStudio server as a workbench for development, which has the advantage that it is also smoothly integrated with version control of R code based on Git. The website is programmed in R using various packages. First, to interact with the website, the Shiny Web Application Framework is used. Second, to store and manage the action data in a relation database, according packages are used. Third, to create new websites, a convenient approach based on literate programming is applied. And fourth, interactive geographic maps are created with the leaflet package. In general, the website is running on a Shiny server with an Nginx reverse proxy. The core functionality from a user perspective includes the following. First, users can create new records for protest action data in a simple or advanced way. Second, users can also show the data of these actions in various formats, for example, as a detailed action data sheet of a single action, or as a table of more complex queries, summary reports of multiple actions, as static maps of images, or dynamic maps which are shown as videos. And as a third service, the website also links to the described social networks. The backbone of the Dandelion Hub is a relational database using MariaDB. It includes various tables and views to allow the complete documentation of all entered data, the storage of valid actions and action versions, and the efficient access to the most recent versions of actions. The data model uses identifiers in a hierarchical way. For example, an action series can contain multiple actions of a larger protest, for example, multiple local actions of a global protest. An action instance can contain multiple versions of the same action, thereby reflecting updated information of the action, for example, based on the number of protesters or emerging newspaper articles. An action instance version finally refers to the specific information of an action available at a time point. To allow the standardized reporting of actions on land or also on water, comprehensive geographic databases of locations and world regions, including water bodies, are used. Optional features allow also the automatic retrieval of the approximate geographic location of an activist based on its IP address to reduce the time for data entry. Since data collection is based on a public access model, various measures have been taken to sanitize user inputs and protect the website and database against its abuse, for example, by SQL injections. Finally, I would like to again mention the social networks which are associated with the Dandelion Hub. Distinct to popular corporate-owned social networks, the design of the selected social network technologies follows the principles of open source, federation, and if so, minimalism, without the interference of attention-targeted algorithms. Ecosocial is based on the ActivityPub protocol. It is the preferred platform for influencer-based microblogging for fast publication and maximum reach. DHub IM, Instant Messenger, is based on the XMPP protocol. It is a recommended platform for secure communication, for example, implementing the OMEMO encryption method, which is also the state-of-the-art encryption method implemented in the Signal app. DHub Chat is based on the IRC protocol and allows only text-based communication, and therefore has ultra-low resource requirements. It may be the preferable platform in world regions with low internet bandwidth or to reduce costs for data. At this point, it's time to sum up. Dandelion Hub is a fully functional prototype of a central repository for decentral civil nonviolent political actions. As of now, around 2.4 million activists are represented in 859 single actions across 51 countries on all 7 continents. R and Shiny have played a key role in the development of this platform because it allows fast prototyping for developers who are not full-stack web developers like me. Limitations concern the overall usability and feel of the website, which may be less attractive to users who are used to advanced corporate-run social platforms. Finally, I will probably have to settle on a single social platform in the future to concentrate my efforts and to focus the number of users. I would like to conclude my presentation with a quote attributed to anthropologist Margaret Mead, who said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." Feel free to reach out to me if you're interested in learning more about the Dandelion Hub or about civil nonviolent political action. Thank you very much for your attention. Bye bye.